Bob, scout on Oklahoma State. They lost a really good player, but so they got a lot back. So
And they got about everybody back. They're good. They're really good. Likely hurt us a couple years ago. Actually, just took over the game. And both the Boone brothers have played really well against us, and they're athletic as can be. They're a really good team. Mike's done a great job with them.
You've been really good there, and they've been really good here. Can you put a finger on why that's been that way?
No.
One of those oddities, I guess.
Well, I think it kind of started when Brad was there, and they had the point guard. But I mean, the guy's a first-round pick. As a freshman, as an 18-year-old kid, he's a first-round pick. He's good, and we just couldn't keep him in front of us, if I remember correctly. And I mean, they've all.
One game, you got a tough whistle. You won.
That happens to us frequently, seemingly.
does it help with guys like Lane Anderson being back that you can go and pull up tape and have direct reference?
No, I just assumed he had bad players that I didn't know anything about. They're good. They're good. They play really well together. I've watched them play several times. They play really hard. And I mean, we've had great games. The game in the conference tournament was a great game. And if we get the call at the end, who knows what happens. But they've been great games. I mean, it hadn't been one team dominating the other team. It's been really good games.
Impressed with the job Mike's done. They're not going to be in the NCAA tournament this year, but they play hard.
He's done a terrific job, but I didn't expect him not to. He's got a great rapport with those guys, and he's got a bunch of guys that have been there for a while that are loyal. And I think they're proud to be there. And I think those guys have probably, I don't know, but I would think probably those guys have helped Mike, kind of convert some of those other guys. If they weren't 100% in, I think they would have helped get them 100% in.
I know you can't answer this because you've never been through it, but with as much of a motivation as you make the NCAA tournament, with the information you get the players, can you imagine coaching a season where that carrot is not there and there's no carrot?
I think it'd be really hard. I think it'd really be hard, but I think you appeal to their pride and the fact that everybody who plays at this level wants to continue to play somewhere. So you have to have a resume to be able to go play somewhere. And think about virtually all of our guys have gone somewhere. Logan Rout started out at a smaller division, and he's over in Turkey now. He's progressed through there. I think you see guys that are playing. They're happy they're still being able to play, and they're making money. So why wouldn't you try to emulate that?
Coach, the Anderson kid obviously came in here last year and probably had his best game he's had in college. I mean, he's been a consistent player for him, but not quite to that level. So how do you scout that or take that? Is it just an anomaly in the sense that he had just one of those days, and then how do you take that with the scout with him moving forward?
I think they're playing at a high level right now. I watched them play early. I watched them play Xavier, and they couldn't make one. But I think that happens to everybody. I think that happens to the best of teams. You have days where they just, for whatever reason, they don't go in, and other days, seemingly everything goes in. I don't know how we predict that, or we're going to try to guard them, but we've never not tried to guard them, so I don't know that a whole lot's going to change.
Does Keterin give you, I don't want to say an advantage, but help there that maybe you didn't have last year quite as much if you can just put him on Anderson?
Well, I mean, Keterin is a very good on-the-ball defender. I don't know that that'll be the matchup. We like having him on whoever has the ball the most. So, I mean, they're so versatile, they can play a lot of people at a lot of different spots. They've got great versatility.
You mentioned keeping guys around a while and having loyalty and whatever else it was you said about it. Between the portal and one and outs and the likes, how much does that hurt the sport? I mean, just the idea of college basketball, that you're not selling Jerry West anymore because he might not be here next year and the likes.
Well, I think to a large degree that the days of recruiting freshmen and them continue to grow through the program are, I don't want to say they're completely gone, but it sure put a dent in it. And guys get so much outside. I feel like I should say help, but I want to say interference. But it's true when you got people in your ear constantly about they're not using you the right way, or you need to go to this place because of style of play, or NIL, or there's a myriad of reasons why they can come up with that they should go in a portal and really choose the place that they want to go. But I mean, Bob, it's not like we used to recruit guys and you get them and you thought you had them for a career, and you continue to work with them and they get. I mean, look at the guys that have come through here and how much better they've gotten. Look at Logan Rout. Logan Rout's doing terrific now as a professional player, and I mean, just guys that worked hard, listened, tried to do the right thing. Those days are gone. It's a. I think it'd be like the NBA playing without any veterans. Just let guys come in and play for a couple years or whatever it is, 2 years, 3 years, and then let them do whatever they want to do. Which I guess kind of they'd have that already to a degree, but it's hard. I mean, it's a totally different ball game. And it's probably harder for guys like me that you did everything you could do to try to help guys, and then have them say, hey, I'm in a portal. They don't even tell you they're going in a portal. They don't tell you why. They just get in the portal. There's been that too. Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting after the game Saturday about the will to win.
Don't I generally?
This is more so than others. It's about that. Is that the hardest thing for you to evaluate? And I think of guys like Rick Phillip, who was a competitor. You had a lot of those. How do you seem to come up with it?
we try to recruit to that. I mean, we went in and I told you, I asked Tariq's junior college coach. I said, how well does he handle the ball? He said, Coach, I wouldn't call him a ball handler. So how well does he pass it? And he said, I wouldn't call him a passer. I said, well, can he shoot it? He said, no, he's not a shooter. I'm like, what does he do? He said, Coach, he wins. He said, we go in a gym in there and you can pick out any four you want and put the worst guys in the gym on his team and he'll still win.
You get a lot of those guys.
I try to.
I mean, when you sit down and you watch and evaluate, and you see a good player who maybe runs away from the ball at winning time, does that turn you off? Things like that? Do you notice things like that?
Mm-hmm.
And you specifically look for those qualities when you evaluate guys like that?
You look for guys who want to win. You look for guys who want to compete. I think competing is that's what we all look for. Devin Williams was here this weekend, and did you ever see anybody who wanted to get a rebound more than Devin Williams? I mean, why wouldn't you recruit that guy? And we recruited Dev hard. I think it's not about how guys look; it's about how they play. And I think sometimes you get carried away. You go in and you watch some guy in warm-up line, and he's dunking every which way there is to dunk, and you say, God, what a great prospect, and then at the end of the day, he's really not.
Is it important for you to see guys get on the floor?
What, dive on the floor?
Yeah.
Nah, I can teach that. My first day here, over to Coliseum, and I don't know what's going on, and Coach Moran says, okay, mother hen. Well, I don't know what the hell mother hen is, and so I'm standing there, and everybody runs to the other side of the circle. That's when we still had circles. They ran to the other side of the circle, and I'm standing there, and I look over, and this guy looks at me and smiles. He got about half his teeth, and I looked at him. He said, we're going to have fun. I said, oh, yeah, we'll have some fun. And it was just him and I just beating the hell out of each other while everybody else is over there trying to stay out of our way. And it's funny when I came back here and we had some kind of little deal over at Kegler's, and he walked up and he said, you remember me? And I said, oh, yeah. I said, you got teeth now.
You don't do mother hen.
We don't do mother hen, no.
But I don't know how much you guys been able to do since the game the other night, but Malik, is he looking
He didn't
better?
practice yesterday. He didn't practice yesterday, but, I mean, we think he's going to be able to go.
Was it a knee or an ankle?
No, it's an ankle.
Ankle, okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Same one he did before?
Mm-hmm. Same one he's done a bunch of times. That's a good thing. He's done it a bunch of times. The more you sprain them, the faster you can come back from them.
That's science?
That's my medical report for the day.
Where do you think? Oh, go ahead, Bob. Where do you think Taz was energy level wise the other day?
Wasn't very good.
Just.
I mean, he gutted his way through it, but he wasn't very good.
Better each day. Good for him.
He was better yesterday. He's got to get his weight back too, though. I mean, he really. I thought he looked really thin coming back.
Can you do that in a couple of days?
No.
But to your point before about the will to win, those two shots he made were pretty big.
He's made big shots. I mean, he's. We're honestly, man, we're blessed. I mean, we got three guys can make shots. Yeah, we got Taz and Sean and JB. Those guys can make shots.
Bob, some of the guys, the younger guys deeper on the bench, what do you see out of them in practice?
They're getting better. You know, it's a big leap when you go from being the best player on your team to being not one of the best players on your team. You know, and they've got people are bigger, stronger, faster, and you don't really see that at the high school level. You don't see guys that big, that strong, that fast. And so it takes a little while, but they're getting much better. You know, it's kind of like the shot that Kobe got blocked. That wouldn't have got blocked in high school. You know, he just took too long to get it off.
JV show you anything? I think of that free throw. First one he makes, and then they call the timeout, and then those guys are just messing around there. Probably 3 or 4 or 5 minutes between shots.
He wasn't very happy with it. I know that.
Did that show you something in him? I mean, he didn't have statistically a great game, but to make those at the end like that?
He does a lot of things. You know, he does a lot of things that really help us. I mean, I've been really pleased with. I mean, he's defended, and he's had to defend at times a big. At times he's had to defend a guard. At times he's been defended by a big, and at times he's been defended by a guard. And he's a great team player. He's really unselfish. He doesn't force shots. You know, so I couldn't be happier with JB and what JB's done.
You're facing quite a gauntlet this next 2 weeks of games. How do you approach that? I know you. I mean, the old one at a time routine and all that, but it accumulates out. You know, when you're playing top teams, top 10 teams, 15 teams.
It does. This league's hard. I mean, it's really hard, and for what anybody wants to think or say, it's harder on us than it is anybody else, because it is the travel. The travel is brutal. I mean, it's we're going to play a 9:00 game. You know, I mean, and now obviously it's probably going to affect Oklahoma State on their way home more than it affect us being home. But that happens to us virtually every away game. It's not once in a while. It's every away game. I mean, we've left to come home from Texas Tech at maybe 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes our time. You know, because we have the late game on ESPN, and then of course when we played Texas Tech, there was a lot of fouls and a lot of stoppage of play, and you know, you go in and you get dressed and you got to go to the airport and you fool around out there for a while till they load all the bags and make sure that they got the weight right and all those other kind of things. And by the time you get home, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they're supposed to get up and go to their 8 o'clock class. It's not easy. And it's harder on us. And I mean, that's a fact. That's not making an excuse. It's hard. It's really hard. And they, you know, they don't seem to care whether we play a 9 o'clock game or not. This the travel in this league. It's not the Big Ten, you know. It's not jump on a bus, Michigan jump on a bus and go to Michigan State, or Ohio State get on a bus, go to Indiana. It's not that, man.
You're really not going to like that Tuesday night game in Provo in a couple of years, then.
I may be sick.
Have they told you when you're going to make up the TCU game?
No.
Might be 9 o'clock sometime Tuesday.
9 or 10. Yeah.
Do you guys have much say in the rescheduling of that game? I didn't
No.
think so.
No.
Apart from it being difficult, what do you think of the conference so far? It's like a lot of really good defenses.
I don't think we have the. No, I guess we do. You know, for a lot of years it was Kansas, you know, and then everybody else. Well, it might be Baylor and everybody else now, but I don't know. I mean, we should have beat Baylor a year ago, and that guy throws one in from half court. That's after we missed 2 free throws, or maybe it was 4. I mean, I think, you know, anybody can be beat, but I think Baylor has kind of set themselves apart like Kansas did before.
You win 8 games in this league. That's probably a pretty strong NCAA tournament resume right there, considering how strong the league is and what they've done outside, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's going to happen because of the net. I mean, you win 8 games in this league, you're going to raise up pretty good in the net. You know, obviously you want to finish higher because they're not going to seed somebody who won 8 games over somebody who won 11 games. Even though maybe the 8-win team in our league played a much better non-conference schedule than the team that won 11 because of the net.
After Saturday's game, I think you said Isaiah had a lot of tools. He did not shoot a 3-pointer in that game. He did not use that tool. Is that progress or is that curious?
No, I think he took what came to him. He didn't force things. I think early on he forced things, just didn't know. I think we have absolutely no problem with him shooting a 3, but not a rush 3. You know, if they're not going to guard him out there, he can make it. He ought to step out there and make it. I just get a kick out of those bank jump hooks. You don't see that often. He made what, 2 or 3?
He had a great up and under on the other side.
He did.
Is that kind of where he's
But
at?
you see up and unders. You just don't see guys banking in jump hooks much.
From the thing too, falling.
Well, from really the middle of the lane.
The key will be holding the follow-through when he makes those.
Makes what, the 3?
Man, no, makes the bank shot and then holds the follow-through.
It's hard to do the way you shoot it. He's getting better and better. You know, he's growing.
When you develop bigs, do you work with one specific thing until they get it to a point where it's good, and then work on other things?
You can't do that. I mean, you may. Depends on where a guy plays too. You know. I think everybody who ends up down there needs to have a jump hook, but other than that, I mean, I played a whole year with 2 guys who were 6'5" in the post, but they were studs. You know, Maxwell and Hicks were, but we didn't have a sub. So you kind of really try to taper down what they do, because you can't. If they get in foul trouble, you're done.
Do they still do the mic and drill today before practice? You guys still do that?
Not much. Mm-mm.
Is that lost?
Everybody's more shooting jump hooks than they are than they're shooting hook shots. Jump hooks, you can keep your body between your man and the ball better.
Anything else?
Coach, Sean didn't have probably his best shooting performance against UAB. Since then, I mean, he's been just pretty much red hot from three-point land. Is it something he's doing different here in the last couple weeks, or just matter of fact the ball going in, or what have you seen from him the last couple games?
Sean had maybe the hardest shot made all year against UAB when we really needed it. I thought they did a good job of guarding him, you know, but we probably didn't do a good enough job getting him open. But he's worked a lot with his ball skills to try to be able to get a little bit of distance between him and the guy guarding him. Depends on who's guarding you too. You know, you put a 6'7" guy on you, it's a whole lot different than having a 6'1" guy on you. I don't necessarily think he had a bad day shooting. He probably had a bad day because of the length of the guy guarding him. Changes your release point to a large degree.
Coach, thank you.
Mm-hmm.